Good morning or good afternoon. My name is Richard Mooskamp. I'm from Wambalee, South Dakota. Born and raised there. And my father is Bernard Chips Mooskamp from Wambalee as well. And my mother is Esther Standing Elk from Rosebud, from White River. And she was born and raised on Rosebud Reservation. I come from family from Rosebud, Little Thunder, Wajaja clan on my mother's side, and Wolftuch Chips on my father's side. And I would like to say hello to all my relatives. I've been having some health problems due to the COVID stuff, but I'm in more recovery now than at first when I felt sick. But I know it's due to a lot of relatives all over the Indian country saying prayers for me and support. And Lila Wopila, from bottom of my heart and my children, I say thank you for all the prayers. And I believe in power of prayer, and I'm getting better. And I'm really almost like 99% recovering right away. So I'm very thankful. And I wanted to talk about this week the Founders Day. And I've always heard about Founders Day when I was younger, coming up. And now that I have a little more understanding of Founders Day, I found interesting, and I found out that it's really important, and it should be really celebrated all over the Indian country. We should honor the Founders Day. It's a very important part of our life. It's a reminder how important life is as Lakota people, and has a deeper impact on many lives across the country. Founders Day is not just a day of remembrance, but it's a point of remembering how important life is for the Lakota people, and to reflect back a little bit, and also forethought, continue to think about what it's going to be like the next 50 to 100 years. Now, building Founders Day is a reminder of building a nation, rebuilding our existence as Lakota Oyate, and how we're going to live in the future, our children. We may not be here, but our future generation going to continue to exist as Lakota people, and also to remember the very important part of our life, about our language, our culture, and our values that instilled to us by our ancestors. En fait, Vichasha e awoi hamle yu happy. Chanke en fait que hena awale hanlia hena kawoi hamle cha unkupi. Naka unkupi. We are living and fulfilling the dreams of our ancestors who touched the pen with the United States government back in the 1800s. They touched that pen on that day in Fort Laramie with a lot of deep thought about the future. It was not about them, but it was about us today and the future generation of Lakota people. It's a world that came to us uninvitedly, but it was here at that time. And we accepted that, our ancestors accepted that by making peace, allowing another world to be living together. There was some compromise and understanding on both worlds that a life can be beautiful in the future. And that was the idea. Building our sovereign nation in another way of life, the future world. And that dream came true. And today, it's a bit struggle, but it's reality that the people that signed the treaty back then, their generations, their dream came true where Lakota people speak English and still speak Lakota, still hang on to the values and virtues and spirituality, and also have a choice of also living in another culture, living in another world. So when it comes to Founders Day, there's only a few people, a lot of people, but there's some people, mainly in my world, my perspective, that comes to my mind, who I always pay tribute to. One of those people is my uncle Lionel Bordeaux. I remember Lionel Bordeaux when I was a 5th grader. While at Wombly Day School, I was a 5th grader. And back in those days in the 60s, I remember real clear that our schools across the Indian country reservation, there were hardly any Indian teachers. Almost predominantly all of our teachers were white, which is not bad either. They were nice people. But it was just that our schools were white people who were, yet they were still learning about our ways too. But our ways was not a priority back then. Everyone was concentrating on a new world that we were living in. Lakota language and the culture wasn't part of that world. So we were passing time as little kids. We didn't really fully understand what was happening to us, but we knew it was the law that we had to be there. And one day, there was only a small handful of Indian teachers. And my 5th grade teacher, she was a young woman from Oglala area. Her name was Dolores Badhart Bull. And she said one day, "Students, listen up. We have a guest here that's going to speak to you." So we all sat still, and that's the first time I've seen a well-dressed cowboy boots, cowboy hat, and a nice, beautiful pressed shirt well taken care of Lakota man who walked into our classroom. Very handsome, very friendly, good energy. He came to the front of our class and introduced himself in Lakota, said a few words, and that caught the attention of all of the Lakota boys and all the students. You know, deep inside of our hearts, we were Lakota, but because we were discouraged not to speak. But this man didn't worry. He openly spoke to us in Lakota and gave us words of encouragement. And then he further on talked about our culture and language, how those are important, as well as learning the white man's education. He told us where we came from, gave us a little overview. He told us the values of importance of having relationship with our relatives, never forget where we come from. And of course, a lot of us young people, we never heard stuff like that before. So that really caught the attention to all of us. You can hear a pin drop in that little classroom. And we sat there and gave him 300% of our attention. We never heard some of those things that he told us. He mentioned the Chiefs, Crazy Horse, Gall, Sitting Bull, Spotted Tail, Red Cloud, and how they fought for the land and how they fought for the way of life and what a treaty is. And he says, no matter how much education you receive in the future, you'll never be a white man. You'll always be Lakota. But if you receive a lot of education in the future, you'll have a good understanding about what Lakota is. And then you will learn your language, and you will learn to live in a multi-global community. And you will survive in the future. And your dreams will come true. But it starts from this classroom. And he gave us furthermore instructions and encouragements and said a few jokes and made us laugh. And we enjoyed that 1 hour. And that 1 hour stayed with me for the rest of my school year until I finished. And that evening I went home and I told my mom, I said, Vichasha Matoka Tahina Woglakalo. I said, Mom, a man came to see us. Spoke Lakota, never seen, heard anything like that before. Do I had? She said, who is it? He said his name was Lionel Bordeaux. He said, oh, Maya had the Kshiak. He says, that is your uncle from Rosebud. Did you shake his hand? I said, yeah, about 3 or 4 times. And he visited the other classrooms and left. Yeah, that's your uncle. He says, he's a very good man. Better listen to him, respect him. And that night, what he has told me stayed in my mind. I stayed up half of the night finishing my homework. Every time I hear his voice in my mind, I do 3 or 4 pages of my assignments, and I felt good finishing all my homework and going back next morning and visit my rest of my kolas, and we talked about Lionel. He probably never knew how much impact he had about what he had said that day to the students there. We asked our teacher if he can come back again. He said, of course he's a busy schedule, but he'll come back there. And then further on, we all went to school, finished our schools, and from time to time I hear his name and getting involved in a lot of things around the Indian country. And as over the years passed, and I learned about the colleges, what I have learned now was that my uncle Lionel had his own personal dreams and visions about how he wants to help the people. So there was some visions of medicine men, tribal leaders that recruited him. They went and looked for him and found him and brought him home and told him how important our Lakota people need him. They did what they call Wos Ichu. They had chosen him to fulfill our ancestors' dreams so that the sovereignty of our people will not die. He was a perfect man for the job. And of course, my uncle, he answered the call. And furthermore, he rolled up his sleeves. He had a team of people, number of people. He was one of those guys who can surround himself with great people. And the dream that was had became reality. The birth of the Sinteglishka University was the beginning of a new way of life. And what the college stood for was to rebuild the Lakota. Sovereignty building, when you interpret that, Lakota wichong igaluha. Lakota ki igaluha pi na ye oichi amanipi. The sovereignty starts from the Lakota person, and then a family, and then a tioshpa, a community, and soon sovereignty of a nation will be born. It starts one time, one little step at a time, and also from that day, hundreds and hundreds, as the college was established, hundreds and hundreds of lives have changed for the better. Sovereignty became reality. And the college was born. So to me, something like that goes to Uncle Lionel. When you wake up from a dream, it becomes reality, and the people are affected by it. So at that time, many lives have changed, and today, and the continuation of the sovereignty continues today. And today, I want to further on say that the growth of the Sinte Gleshka and the 5 other colleges created a tribal college organization called American Indian Higher Education Consortium. It's located in Washington, D.C., and is still operating today. And it took 6 of the college, it took them 6 years to work with Congress to get them to pass legislation recognizing tribal colleges and getting the money to the tribes for operation. And then they further on authorized and formed another organization called American Indian College Fund for scholarships, located in Denver. A tribal member from Rosebud is the director of that. I believe her name was Cheryl Crazy Bull. She was a vice president of SGU at one time. SGU created the world's education organization called World Indigenous Higher Education Consortium, an organization of tribal colleges. They further went on to New Zealand and joined up with the Maori tribal nation to start an organization. And then they went to Hawaii. They met up with, got invited by Buffy St. Marie, and the Maori Indian organization started. Then Sinte Gleshka went to Canada, to the world's largest Indian education conference with the Maru, and expanded the size of the WINHEC. Today there are 150 tribal colleges in this organization throughout the world. They will hold a world conference someday when this COVID is behind us. It's operated out of Hawaii now. And there was a lot of people that went to New Zealand, a couple of people. I believe Uncle Russell Eagle Bear was one of them, and Albert Whitehat and Marlis, John Spotted Tail. There's some great things from the Sinte Gleshka Spotted Tail University. The man back in the 1800s who signed the treaty with the dream that someday these things that were happening, so American Indian Higher Education Conferences. We talk on college wa egale na etaha ota taku ashte ota thaina oyate ke lila owi hamlet khama piko hena graduate. Ochake Lila Woitan Hankahecha. Dakota people have every right to hold their head up and walk proud in this international world of mixture of different cultures that we live in today. And to me, that's what Founders Day. The names of Lionel, Bordeaux, the board of directors, the Rosebud Sioux tribe, and all the staff of St. Igleshka. Today, they will be remembered in the future. 50 years from now, their names will never die. Continuation of these people's dreams will affect and turn things around. Someday we will be a sovereign nation again. No one's going to give it to us. The Oyate will earn it. Founders Day is really important to everyone. It is important for all tribal members across the country to think about Founders Day, and when you do, Uncle Lionel is going to be one of those people that's going to be in your mind. For him, in honoring him, the young people today, it is your responsibility to keep that dream alive. The young men and women that are listening, it is your responsibility. Now it's your turn to be Lionel. Be Lionel and finish school. It's never too late or never too old. Go to school for the sake of the future. It's not about just you, but it'll be for the Tkakojas to continue for us. Now, at one time I talked with Uncle Lionel, and he says, the future generation, what's next? The Oyate, we need more modern science, modern technology in our world for our children. We always have room to grow to become one of the best colleges in the country. So furthermore, I know there was a group of people back in the 70s that came together across the Indian country. Mr. Lionel Bordeaux, Gerald Onefeather, Tom Shortbull, and all the people. Some people left already. Elgin Badwell, Dr. Elgin Badwell. The list goes on about the warriors that were around then. Wana echio apkangionepi na. They still continue to work towards the future of our generation. Ochonke we got no time to fool around. I know we're dealing with the illness, and but that too will leave us someday. We have a right to fulfill our uncle's dreams and continue to keep him in prayers. To me, that's what the Founders Day is. That we will survive as a Lakota nation in the future. Someday we will have our own Walmart. We will have our own Home Depot. We will have our own shopping centers on the reservation where our hard-earned dollar will stay here. And education, we will learn what our government functions are in our local level. And we will always continue to be Wowamshila, our values and our virtues and our ceremonies will become a reality where young people will speak the language. Once again, the dreams of those long ancestors and today has become reality. Chatako ni tokaktishnilo. Atako ni yokshitapitashni. We understand the life and death of our people, a sacred process. We will continue to move because there's children being born every day, which I encourage relatives. And once again, thank you for your prayers. Continue to pray. And to me, Founders Day is important. I wish everyone will have a good week, a speedy recovery from my uncle, and those people that are in the hospital. As a matter of fact, I just end up in the hospital myself because of the pneumonia that's going around, and it humbles me when you're sick, when I got sick. But I know that prayer is what got us through a lot of hard times, and that's what got me through. So I just wanted to share those things today. I have many things to say about the Founders Day, but it is important to go back to school and finish our ancestors' dreams. Ohecha tuolo mitakwepi, Balahecha potoksa tokaktishnilo, Ohecha tuolo, Pilamaya apolo. Thank you.
Okay. For Indian men, women, boys and girls seeking education, take courage in all that you do, for there's a different world that is much larger than we are. Seeking education to survive in that world is the overall philosophy, and maintaining our cultural values and virtues and our beliefs and traditions was the instrumental, is the mandate of our founders way back. So we celebrate the 50th class of St. University.